As an educator, every situation that you deal with will be unique. Every classroom, student, and conflict will be different from the next. The four of us had very different service learning experiences and noticed that each situation required a very different approach for educating the children. In our digital storyboard, we are going to examine some of the ways in which our placements were unique and discuss some of the things we learned from the children.
My service learning experience has been full of culture and new experiences. I was placed in a second grade classroom at North Elementary School. There are 3 second grade classes, 2 of which are regular, and one of them is the English second language class, which is the one that I was in. Being from Livonia, a historically non-diverse area, the classroom was a culture shock for me, with a majority of the kids being refugees from the Middle East and a few from China. It was hard to help the kids when they could barely understand me and when I could barely understand them, but I learned that hand motions go a long way. I also learned how children can absorb so much in a short amount of time, as some of the kids came in not being able to speak English and ended up being able to write full sentences. A large part of that was bilingual children helping them in their native language and explaining and teaching in a way that their culture would understand. One thing that I will take away from this experience is that cultural stereotypes can hinder a child by either holding them back or pushing them outside of their intelligence level, and both have a negative impact on learning.
For my service learning, I worked at the South Branch of the Capital Area District Library as a drop-in tutor for grades K through 12. Because the library is accessible to schools from all over the Lansing area, I met with students of all ages, abilities, classes, ethnicities, and races. Tutoring students on specific things they were struggling with one-on-one was intimidating for me, who has never had any tutoring experience before. I was concerned that I would not be able to help a student because I didn't know how to teach them in a way they understood when I have no prior knowledge of the student, the course material, or what their experience in the classroom has been like. A majority of the students I met with were adolescent African American girls who needed help with math, but there were many other students who sought help for different things. Each week was completely different from the last. I saw a lot of the same kids on a regular basis, but they usually needed help on different concepts or subjects each time. Being prepared to help a student in any grade level on any subject was challenging, but it was also rewarding. I got a lot of reassurance from the students that they understood the material better than they did before, and that's all that mattered to me.
At Wexford Montessori, I worked with a kindergarten class mixed with a few first graders, and I noticed how difficult it can be to control a class. This classroom was full of instigators who would love to hit, kick, and scream at the other kids just to get attention from the teacher. There were 3 special needs kids in that room. When I first observed the class, I was a bit concerned that the troublemakers would pick on the special needs kids, or that they wouldn't be treated like all of the other kids. Thankfully, I was wrong. The students treated them the same as anyone else in the class, but this one girl named Bailey with Down syndrome somewhat acted just like the troublemakers. To my surprise, she developed a hitting problem where she would just randomly hit other kids. Apparently, this was never an issue until she came to this class. It was clear that the actions of some of the other students had rubbed off on her. Even when Bailey was acting up, the teacher would still call her out and tell her to fix her behavior, just like she would tell any of the other students. Although this class was hard to control, I respect the ways the teacher would handle each situation, no matter which student was misbehaving.
My service learning placement consisted of playing tennis with groups of kids of all different ages, from around 5 years old to 11 years old. My placement felt unique because the program I worked with focused on physical education, so our classroom was the gymnasium. Instead of working with the kids on school subjects like math or writing, the education the kids received from us revolved around socialization and teamwork. Observing these kids in such an active and dynamic environment showed me that education and learning is not limited to within the walls of a classroom. The conflicts that I observed during my volunteering revolved mostly around the range of ages we worked with. The older kids would sometimes feel held back by the younger kids, while some of the younger kids struggled to keep up with the older kids. Making sure that each child was playing tennis to the best of his or her own ability, regardless of anyone else's, became an important focus for me during our lessons. I believe that catering to each individual child's needs is more important than catering to the majority of the group, and in the long run will end up benefiting the group as a whole.